What has he done that makes him so special in your mind?
He just doesn't lie like all the other politicians do. He's not a politician. That's why I liked him.
You don't think Trump lies ever?
I mean, he does. He exaggerates sometimes.
What are your thoughts on the first 100 days of the Trump presidency?
I think it's wonderful. I think he's a wonderful president, the best president that really loves the American people, and he loves us. He loves his country because, you know, he's the only man that could do this. I mean, who could replace this wonderful man that we have right now? He's really he's blessed. He missed a bullet a couple times. His life was saved. I mean, just look at what he's done. And I know he has the best intentions in the world of making America great again because, you know, he's put everything on the line, and I give him credit for that. And I pray for that man every single day. I do, for his safety and that he can get the job done for us, and I'm sure he will.
So who do you hope is the vice president?
I personally love Kari Lake.
Now, I have to ask, Mike Pence was Donald Trump's vice president, and Donald Trump almost got him, killed. Would you be worried about Kari Lake?
Donald Trump did not.
Well, the people were chanting, hang Mike Pence.
Give me a break. Grow up.
Well, but then they actually went inside, to where he was and everything.
So what?
For the 2024 election, foreigners are going to be sent to your door?
The foreigners are already here, and they're already set up in the phone, and when somebody gives them the okay, they're going to come for us.
Where did you get this information?
Yeah. Yeah.
Day one, put Hillary in jail.
And what would she go to prison for?
What wouldn't she go to prison for? Everybody that knows Hillary ends up dead anyway, so.
Is that true? Like President Obama?
Obama, yeah. So.
He didn't die, though. He's alive, right?
Yeah. Obama? Oh, yeah.
Smart people don't like me, and they don't like what we talk about.
Okay, straight talk. Go back to those electric MAGA rallies. Crowds in flannel and ball caps getting pumped about putting America first with stiff tariffs and sealed borders. They swore it'd smack down rivals overseas, pump up the economy, and hit zero snags for hardworking folks. But here we are in 2025, staring at the wreckage in farm country, piles of unsold grain, skyrocketing fuel and seed prices, and old family spreads on the brink, all thanks to the chaos they voted in. Here's the rub. These same crowds blasted socialist handouts for city folks or immigrants, but flipped the script when their operations tank. No question, farming's a hardcore grind, battling weather, markets, and long hours every day. Still, buying into leaders who peddle division and then getting blindsided by the blowback, that's where it falls apart. Welcome to Mind Mirror.
Listen to me. Racism is the poison in Arkansas soil. That's right, racism. Last week, hundreds of Arkansas farmers stood in a room and broke down in prayer in front of their elected officials. They weren't praying for rain, guys. They weren't praying for sunshine. They weren't even praying for a bumper crop. They were praying because their farms, their family land, their way of life is collapsing under tariffs and trade wars. And here's the truth. Those tariffs, that trade war, that whole playbook was born out of racism. Farmers were told the story that punishing foreigners would make America strong again. They were told to clap when leaders wagged their finger at China, Mexico, or whoever else they decided was the villain of the week. They were told it was patriotism, but really it was racism dressed up in red, white, and blue, and farmers bought it. They cheered it. They co-signed it. And now they are the ones paying the bill.
Right, so these farmers cheered on tariffs thinking it'd punish foreigners. But now their soybeans are rotting because Brazil stepped in. Classic MAGA move. Yell about strength, ignore the math. Spot on about racism fueling this. It's not patriotism, it's division that backfires. I agree, history shows policies like Jim Crow or internment wrecked economies for everyone involved. For guys in the audience facing tough decisions, if you're in ag or any trade, research policies beyond slogans. Vote for stability. Check trade deals. Labor impacts. Women running family farms. Same deal. Build networks across communities to push for fair support. Don't buy the hype. Demand real plans that protect your livelihood without hate. Practical step. Join co-ops or local ag groups to lobby smarter. Avoid isolation that makes you vulnerable.
Look at soybeans. Without tariffs, U.S. beans leaving New Orleans are cheaper than Brazil. But with tariffs, suddenly Brazil is winning. And who did that? Not God, not nature, not fate, your own leaders waving a racist flag and calling it strength. And the farmers who clapped for it are now on their knees begging for help. This isn't the first time. History is packed with proof that racism bankrupts the very people it fuels. Jim Crow didn't just brutalize black citizens. It strangled the Southern economy for generations. Segregation didn't just rob black kids of opportunity. It robbed the entire South of progress, creativity, and prosperity. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1880s, it cut off immigrant labor that helped build America, leaving industries starved. Japanese internment during World War II, well, that destroyed businesses, farms, and families, and the whole economy bore the cost. Every single time America lets racism drive policy, the poison spreads. It never just hits the target. It always circles back. And now here we are again. Farmers in Arkansas prayed out loud last week because they're broke, and they know it. And some of them voted for this mess. Some of them cheered when the tariffs went into place because they thought it would put others in their place. But you can't hate and expect to harvest prosperity. You cannot poison your neighbor's well without eventually drinking from it yourself. So let's call this what it is. Racism is the poison in your soil. It's why your crops can't compete. It's why your barns are empty. It's why you bowed your head in front of men in suits who don't care about you at all beyond your vote. Racism doesn't just starve the people you think are your enemies, it starves you. Arkansas, this is your wake-up call. You can pray all you want, but you have to face the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. Racism isn't strength, it's weakness. It's not power, it's poison. It's killing your farms, your family, and your future. Please wake up.
Man, that hits. You can't poison the well and expect clean water. These MAGA folks waved flags at rallies, bought the us versus them line, now begging suits who use them for votes. Totally agree, racism isn't power, it's a trap that starves your own future. We've seen it cycle back every time. Advice for men out there echoing this. If you're leading a household or business, drop the divisive talk. It costs jobs and peace. Focus on building alliances. Network with diverse suppliers. Learn from global markets. Women in similar spots. Advocate for inclusive policies that lift all boats, like fair labor laws. Key move. Track your reps' voting records on trade. Hold them accountable. This wakes you up to vote with facts, not fear, securing long-term wins for your family.
I am tired of subsidizing, of paying for farmers' social views. American farmers vote red handily, perhaps in the past for economic policy. Not anymore. The first Trump term, the government had to bail out the farmers with taxpayer dollars because Trump's trade war sent them all barreling toward insolvency. There is no economic reason, looking at any of Trump's campaigned economic plan, for farmers to vote red. So I presume they vote red for their social values. Fine. Except it's not. Because now, again, second Trump term, they're begging and pleading for another bailout.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something.
That would be 8 or 9% of the whole U.S. crop would normally be on the books with China right now, and we have zero. That is alarming. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China, and in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had.
We need farmers, okay? Certainly, obviously. But I do not want to pay for my food they produce and for their poor political choices. If they want to vote for the party explicitly promising tariffs that they know from the last time, from the last trade war, will put them all out of business, then you eat the consequences of that this time. You don't get a bailout a second, a third, a fourth time. I don't think that's being harsh. I think that's incredibly reasonable.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now.
Yes, that's what we're saying right now.
Well, next time you'll vote the right way, or that's what you get for who you voted for.
Yeah, that's the way you voted. That's the fuck around and find out.
Doesn't sound very American of people, but here lately, that's all we're doing is complaining.
You voted for a con man, a felon. I don't know what to tell you.
Is an American business to fail. I don't know how much more we're going to see for the next 3 or 4 years. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them. I don't care what side of the fence you're sitting on in this. The last thing we need is our land to be gobbled up by our corporate people to lease it out to another country so that they can come in and do what they want on the soil. Think about it, people.
So if you could change back time, would you still vote for him? because Kamala was going to help you guys. Donald was not going to help you. When he was going to make people rich and lower their taxes, he didn't mean you. This is just the FAFO. Sorry. And you said it best. You're sitting on the wrong side of the fence.
Oof, the find out phase is real. These farmers voted for a con man promising riches, but it skipped them. Agree, Kamala's plans had aid baked in. Trump's just chaos. Mocking gently, they bashed handouts for others, now desperate for their own. Solid point on American businesses failing under this. Men watching, if you're in volatile fields, prioritize leaders with proven e-contracts. Study past bailouts failures. Shift to sustainable practices like no-till to cut costs. Women in the audience support each other in voting blocks for ag relief. Tip: map out your supply chain risks yearly. Vote to protect it. This fosters smart planning over blind loyalty.
We cannot keep preaching class solidarity and then shitting on every demographic that voted for Trump and is now being hurt by Trump.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can absolutely shit on every other group of people that voted for Trump. Yes, we can. Because, and the problem is, a large portion of these same people voted for Trump simply out of racist, bigoted, hateful beliefs. Am I going to say it was all? No. But at the end of the day, these people sided with the same group of people like the KKK. I told a Trump supporter, him being friends with Jeffrey Epstein alone is cause enough for him not to be president. And you know what they said? Have you ever had questionable friends? No, I never had PDFs as friends. The problem with these people is that they have to learn their lesson. They have to learn their lesson because if you try to bail them out, America's biggest issue is accountability. People think, oh, it's capitalism, it's this, it's that. It's accountability. And the same racist, bigoted people that set upon this nation and created multiple genocides, right? They have never been held accountable. Till this day, we are at the point where we're romanticizing racism and slavery. People are supporting the guy with the mustache from Germany. You know, that's what's happening in this country currently. So yes, we can shit on them. Because at the end of the day, racism is expensive. And I hope they learn their lesson.
Yes, racism's expensive. These voters sided with hate, now farms collapsing, no accountability taken. Spot on about learning hard lessons, bailouts just delay it. Lightly, MAGA crowds cheered deportations, forgot who picks the crops. I back this. Genocides and bigotry echo without reckoning. Advice for guys: examine your biases. They block coalitions that could save industries. Partner with immigrant workers legally for mutual gain. Women here: lead community dialogues on shared econ goals. Practical: attend town halls. Push anti-discrimination in ag loans. Vote informed to break cycles. Build inclusive prosperity.
Check out how Trump's policies are destroying these red state farmers who voted for him, and we're going to be right back.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm.
After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Now, a lot of my liberal followers are understandably, justifiably like, well, F around and find out. But that's a little too simple for my journalistic standards. There's something deeper going on here. Because if you have a historical understanding of how propaganda works on the human mind, I think everybody who's getting messed over by these Trump policies in red states who voted for him needs to start by suing right-wing media companies for radicalizing them into doing things that are against their best interests and echo chambering them out of the information that could have them more critical about his policies. I'll reiterate, if you ain't got the bandwidth to feel nothing for these people after what they've done, I feel you. But low-key, high-key, This is tragic, yo. Because even as late as May, a survey by the Purdue company of like 400 farmers showed that 70% of them still believe that Trump's tariffs is going to have some kind of positive benefit for them. Remember that slew of executive orders that Donald Trump was just signing earlier on in the year? Well, it caused so much bureaucratic instability that it made the USDA pause funding for over 30,000 farmers in the United States.
Nailed it. Exec orders caused USDA chaos, pausing funds for thousands. These farmers voted away their buyers via USAID cuts, then deportations stole labor. Agree fully. Tariffs are the final blow paid by us. Mock, they hollered America first, but Brazil thanks them. Menin AG, reassess support for disruptive policies, opt for steady trade pacts, invest in tech like drones for efficiency. Women advising, form support groups for policy education. Step, review annual farm reports, align votes with data. This prevents self-sabotage, ensures viable futures.
That was strike one. Strike two for the farmers was when Doge came in and gutted USAID. Everybody was like, oh, that's just a front for the CIA across the world. Maybe, but also it created automatic buyers all across the world for American-grown wheat and corn and anything that could bridge the gap for starvation. That's gone. Strike three was the deportations. These farmers literally voted for Trump to steal their workers and wonder why ain't no work getting done when all of these compounding factors are crushing them. Strike four, which is more than you're supposed to have, is what? The dude said it. The tariffs. He said it's the icing on the cake. We tried to tell y'all that it's Americans who pay the tariffs. Y'all didn't listen, so listen to these farmers. You know what's ironic? A lot of these farmers were dead silent or complicit in black farmers getting screwed over for decades by not only their peers, but by the USDA. So bad that they had to win lawsuit after lawsuit in the billions of dollars to get claims and damages done. And still the USDA was slow with paying them out. Had they not been so racist, they'd have had a larger coalition to argue for what they need. And what's even deeper is that a lot of these farmers' ancestors were given this land in the Homesteading Act of 1862, when freshly stolen land from Native Americans was given to European peasants for pennies on the dollar. We're talking about 1/10 of the U.S. landmass. The term chickens coming home to roost is a farming colloquialism that applies here with a ruthless poetic irony. I can't even really get myself to celebrate over this because I'm looking at how the sins of the father cascade down to the generations, how these farmers inherited not only land, but a culture from their forebearers that allowed them to be prime targets for propaganda like this. The only positive way that I could look at this is possibly a new beginning in disguise. Because if we're gonna have an America that works for everybody, it's gonna take these folks getting disappointed in this way to let this all burn down, metaphorically speaking, and plant new seeds for the future. That's just my take on it. What y'all feel? My name is Theo E.J. Wilson. Like, follow, and share this message out if you feel it. Holla back.
Deep take. Inherited land and culture made them propaganda targets, but burning it down might plant better seeds. Support this empathy amid irony. Homestead Act roots in theft, now poetic justice. Gently mocking MAGA. Stole land, hated neighbors, shocked at fallout. For male viewers, reflect on family legacies, choose progress over old grudges, diversify income with ag tourism, women, champion equitable land reforms, action, study history's econ lessons, vote for inclusive growth, builds a fairer system for all generations.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Canaan High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers because I watch how hard they work to get this crop in the ground and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. that people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values.
True, farmers grind hard, but ideology deceives, like Dust Bowl lies leading to ruin. These Trump signs ignore how tariffs crush markets. Agree, sustainability's key, ignored in profit chase. Light mock, rally for go big, then cry when small farms die. Men here, balance values with facts. Test soil health yearly, push regen ag. Women in rural life, advocate for community co-ops. Tip, map export dependencies, vote against harmful tariffs. Secures food systems without deception.
And that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states, because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, you know, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many of his businesses failed, and those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, you know, the idea that immigration people come here and, oh, they're using our tax dollars. Blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farmers, farming, and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that. the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go?
Spot on. Corporatization takes over as small farms fail under Trump's mess. Purdue's "go big or go away" exposed it. These voters were lied to, but empathy needed alongside truth. Mocking softly. Bash immigrants, forget they fuel farms. I back connecting dots to oligarchy. Advice for guys, resist corp dominance, form alliances for local control. Adopt cover crops for soil. Women, lead anti-monopoly efforts. Practical, track policy forecasts, vote for protections. Prevents total loss of independence.
We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything.
Under Joe Biden, farmers were given subsidies. Under Joe Biden, people had their student loans forgiven. Under Donald Trump, you've been imposed tariffs. Under Donald Trump, you've lost your workforce. Why did you vote for him? Because you didn't think it was going to happen to you. You didn't like people like me to get my student loans forgiven. Even though I, as a bleeding heart liberal, is A-OK, right on when you get a subsidy. Because I care about the whole world. And now you fucked yourself. And I admit a little part of me does have empathy for you because I'm a therapist and it's against my nature to not sympathize with my fellow human beings, but fuck you.
I just watched Margaret Cho's video where she's like, Koreans are mean in the best possible way, but they are. And I'm like, yeah, we're mean and we're also petty. We're also petty. We hold grudges and we like revenge. Apparently, Kimchi Cakes put out a video and all the Korean netizens went over onto that MAGA Karen's page and basically got her to shut her comments off finally. And now we're seeing the Korean government talking about kicking out all of the Americans who are on work visas out of Korea, which doesn't surprise me because, again, we are petty. And then also talking about pulling out of other investments and pulling companies out of America and screwing over our economy because why not? They saw their citizens getting frog marched onto the streets, handcuffed, and they were like, no. That was embarrassing. And once again, it just shows you that MAGA is bad for business. MAGA is bad for the economy. New Jersey's having a governor's race this year, and we cannot afford to go MAGA. Like, literally can't afford it.
Final nail. Voted against subsidies for others. Now tariffs and lost workforce bite back. Agree. MAGA's bad for biz, as seen in global pullouts. Petty revenge cycles hurt all. Light mock. Thought pain skipped them, now begging. For audience men, care globally. Support aid that stabilizes. Women therapists or advisors. Promote empathy with accountability. Step. Forgive loans broadly. Vote for balanced econ. This heals divides, strengthens everyone.